I'm going to open the May 18, 2022 Select Board meeting at 6:02 p.m. Do we have any amendments to the agenda tonight?
Yeah, I have two. One is the transfer station and East Hill Road.
Do you want them under Select Board review and
I
action?
think so, yeah.
So we're going to move the transfer station discussion and East Hill Road discussion into the Select Board review as amendments to the agenda. All right. Approval of the minutes of May 4th. Motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second that motion.
Do we have any discussion with the minutes? Any additions, corrections, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Is Tim Yarrow here?
Doesn't look like it.
Unless he's iPad.
No, that's one.
Oh, one, okay.
So then we'll move on to comments up to the community until we see that he's come on. Do we have any comments from the community online or? Not hearing any then. We have a little bit of correspondence in the file. There is, we received the new contract from the Wolcott County Sheriff's Department. I believe that we're going to review some of that. We're not going to sign it right off. And I have the appointment forms, and just an FYI, Belinda signed a request for catering of malt bitters and spirits of liquors for someone up on Hines Road, September 3rd. It's just part of her duties. All right. Still haven't seen him. All right. Then let's move on to the public hearing. Proposed amendments to the street naming and number or ordinance. At the last meeting, I said that I would be more than willing to add in the recommendation that we approved from the DRB. But going over the ordinance, which was written in 2006, it seemed like there were a few things that maybe needed to be updated a little. I sent you a copy in the mail, an email, and you should have a paper copy. I'm sorry that the sideline doesn't show what it means, but the orange, the yellow highlights mean my suggestions of adding it to the ordinance. The dark blue is the recommendation of wording from the DRB that we approved. And the orange is places to be removed, wording to be removed. Have you had a chance to look at it at all, read it or study it? Do you have any comments on it?
So the if the town wants to use part of the ARPA funds for townwide 911 numbers, would this have to be redone again?
No, why?
I don't know. I'm asking the question because, yeah, the 911 has, is everything here compliant with 911?
Well, I used their current rules or policy, their booklet.
Uh-huh,
I also used, some of the things I've added were things, I looked at the town of Hyde Park's
right.
ordinance. They're all the same. I will say that Hyde Park, they wanted all the numbers on the signs to be 4 inches. But when I went to the booklet, the rules for the E911 say 3.
Okay.
That would be something we could change if we wanted to. The only thing that I think that wouldn't, well, I don't think of anything in here that would change our numbers. Deb, as an E911 coordinator, do you see something in there that would be in conflict?
No, probably not. We would most likely want to check with some other towns like Elmore or towns who have done, 911 numbers for every place in town, and see if they have an ordinance that would be different from what this is. There might be some minor variations as far as having the numbers on mailbox posts, for example, as opposed to regular posts that, would be supplied. But I think overall, and as far as what we know right now, I think this is about as close as we can get.
Right, so Hyde Park does have all their numbers. They are doing their towns in segments. That's why I picked that one. I think there could be more work to this. So my suggestion is, if we are going to spend the time and the money to put it in the paper, that we should do it right, not just do it and add that little sentence. And that we should look at it closely, how we want it. I thought tonight maybe instead of voting on this and approving it, that we could look at it, have a discussion on things that you might want to change in it that still complies with the rules, and then that we would have our official approval and adoption at our next meeting. If that was all right.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And that was really my only question was, it sounds like it does comply with 911.
So I'll just quickly go through there so you have an understanding. The first part is just that I put the statute that allows us to do that. The second highlight is just basically saying who is going to sign the numbers, so that just anyone's not assigning the numbers. The highlight with the apartment houses, it just kind of clarifies. It wasn't in ours, but it kind of spells it out a little more, that how it's done. Is that how you do that, Deb?
It is.
Right. So it's just clarifying it more. It's not changing anything. The other thing in posting of designated street addresses, it said that they'll be notified by a joint letter from the town and the postal service. Is that true?
No.
No, and I didn't think it was true. So I wanted to take it out. You'd just be notified from the town. The postal service doesn't notify you of that. That was in ours, and it didn't make sense to me because we don't do it.
Actually, you guys notified the owner and the post office, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Down here on number 3, last paragraph, I just changed the numerals indicating the assigned number rather than the official number. I didn't like it personally. And the locatable building rather than the principal building. The rest of this kind of came out of Hyde Park. It was just a little clearer and more detail. I also find it very confusing. And this is a place where I think if the board wants to change some of this, if we decide we just want to have posts on the road or at the end of the driveway, this is where we would do it.
So you, after height, what is yellow is what you think it should say and take out the red?
The red takes out, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
In the future development, final approval of a certificate of occupancy, we don't have them. So I wanted to take that out. And we don't have that in our zoning.
Right.
Under penalties, this is another place where you could change it, affixed to such house entrance, mailbox or building. If we decide we just wanted it the driveway with a post, we wouldn't have all these different places. So that's a decision I think the board needs to make. And also, under street signs, the select board, upon adoption of this ordinance, shall institute a program for the installation and maintenance of street name signs in accordance with the names established by this ordinance. We have not done that, and it's something I felt we needed to discuss and do if we were going to sign it.
We've not done what
We have not instituted a program for the installation and maintenance of street signs.
okay. Not on one side, but street signs. Right?
Right, under street signs.
Oh, street sign name, sorry, that I misread that.
Now, do they, when they
So we
name
do
a-
have that's my mistake of reading it.
when they name a private road, does it have to be approved by the select board?
Yeah.
It does.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if just looking at townwide 911 installations, they seem like Elmore anyway, everything has a post.
Right,
Nothing's on a mailbox, nothing's on anything else other than a post.
so that's a decision I think we need to make
Yeah.
with this ordinance, and I think it's something that just all these things I wanted to bring to your attention, but I also feel like you need time to think it over.
Okay.
So that next meeting, we could vote on what we approve, what we decide we want to approve on.
I'll be in the hospital on June 1st
Um,
for my carburetor pacemaker. So I probably won't be at the next meeting.
So that
Okay,
outpatient,
No, they're gonna make me stay over one
I'm
night.
joking.
I'd like that.
My
Yes.
question is, private owners pay for the first sign, but if it gets stolen, does the town take on the responsibility of replacing that sign, or does the landowner have to do it?
I would say the landowner.
So each time we would order one, we would bill them? Okay.
Now, the town already supplies all of the road name signs.
Yes,
And our streets as well, right?
Right,
Our street. But, private roads would be responsible for their own expense, I would think.
so it says prior to the issuance of a subdivision permit, a developer shall furnish a plan for a street naming and street numbering system in accordance with this ordinance to the select board. But if it's a private road, we do not pay for it. So would you say here under street signs then that accepting private roads, we should not take that out, leave that in under
So you're
7,
saying in accordance with the mayor's session?
because I misread
Yeah, I
street.
think so.
All right, so that would stay in. Does anyone else have any other comments on this? Well, I would welcome your feedback if you could take a look at it, in the next week or so and email me, and then I will, make an official ordinance. And if the E911, Deb, if your office too could look at it closely and make sure that we're not doing something wrong.
we will.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, I'm just thinking of Douglas Road. Douglas Road, we've replaced it and it's a private road, so in the future, if we have to do it again, I'm just wondering who I would bill, all the landowners on that road? Or would I let them get their own sign?
Well, have we always paid for private road names?
I remember when four-wheel drive, the Hamels got their sign, it was stolen like 2 days later. And they bought it again, they paid for it, and they put it in so it could not be removed. And it stayed ever since then. But there are certain signs, some people.
Well, they
like
don't
what they
really,
say.
their sign is really not a road or anything. They shouldn't really even have one. So they're basically buying it.
For themselves.
Right. But I think that the select board does need to make a decision on private road signs. I know initially we have the owners of that pay for it, whether that will go forward. That's a board decision, but we probably should make that decision by the next meeting.
Okay, so private roads, the owners have always paid for it. And
First time,
keep the first time.
yeah,
And who to bill, I would assume that if there's multiple homes on a private road, then there's probably some kind of association. They're dealing with the road somehow as a group, right?
that is the big problem. There are not associations, and I have talked to the DRB about having them create them when they do these subdivisions, but I haven't seen it.
Like,
No, it is a major problem.
Yeah,
No associations of maintenance of roads.
right.
Bill Patch didn't want to buy a sign, and he had multiple buildings on one road and Wild Branch Road, so he got his own sign. So it doesn't really conform, but we decided not to buy one.
Well, he would be in violation of this ordinance and moving forward, then we would, if we're gonna have an ordinance, we need to enforce it, or we should just not.
Okay.
I have just one
Yeah,
slight question.
sure.
In Elmore, they have them posted on the numbers posted on a stake or
Mhm.
post, whatever. Have they defined what the stake should be and how high and so forth on the,
So in the policy, all it says is make it high enough for taking account snow.
Well, snow could be.
That's what it says.
I mean, I hate
We
to say
could-
this, but
Yeah,
mine would have to be 8 foot by the time the grader goes through and pushes it all up.
Isn't that why they keep using mailboxes? Because the post office will not deliver if you don't shovel out your mailbox.
Right, that's what mine's on, but if you go and say everyone's gonna be on a post, now you're gonna have to define.
Well, that's if their mailbox is not at the end of their driveway. That's what it says, right?
or for people like me that don't have a mailbox
Right.
and don't live on the road. And don't have a number. Well, do you want to come up with some suggestions for our next meeting? If we were to decide that, is that something that we're leaning towards?
Is what something,
Spending some of the ARPA money for,
well, we don't even, I don't even know that yet. I mean, it was on the survey, as possible. The public response was relatively low on it. The value to the town over the long term, I personally think is high. If the fire department can't find, or an ambulance can't find a house, it's not a good job. And I know it happens. I just think as the town grows, having a townwide 911 program, to me, makes sense when we have the money now to do it. If we, the ARPA is not going to come around again. So it's in my mind, a relatively high priority. But I will note that the public, 50 people that is, did not rate it as high.
So how does the rest of the board feel about that? Not that you have to have a voting decision tonight, but
I agree with Kurt, it's important and now and more so in the future. To have it very clear cut.
I think if you're going to have a post, it would have to be like with Belinda's situation or yours, where the house set so far back. It would be nice to have a post where it's got the numbers indicating at the end of the road on a private road. But where you're here in main town, the mailbox is going to be the thing right next to the road. So I don't see how you're going to make it applicable unless you state that. If it's, it's right there by the road, it's noticeable. But like you said, in your instance, now you're gonna have to define what the post is gonna be. Is it gonna be pressure treat 4x4 with, like you said, 3-inch letters on it, which would be nice.
well, the 3-inch letters, that does state right in the.
Right, but I mean, that would,
And it tells it has to be vertical or horizontal. how it goes. And it has to be on a reflective background. It does not say a post, but I would imagine you'd want it on a metal post.
Well, my problem with the middle post is then you get damages, where if it's a wooden post and it gets damaged, it's not that big of a deal. Replace it or whatever hits it. I mean, you're gonna have to come back into play with your state ordinances on sign posts. They have to have a breakaway. If someone goes out there and puts it on a 3-inch cylinder metal post and someone hits it and gets killed,
And gets you.
So do you think in the
But we'll
next
do it
2 weeks
twice.
you could go and measure one of them in Elmore and see what it looks like? And maybe find out
I
what,
know the fire department in Elmore, I believe, are the ones that put those in. And I bet they have a standard.
could you check out that with them?
yeah, I can.
And bring it back to the board and see if they, try different things better than reinventing the wheel.
Right.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, we'll further our discussion at our next meeting on this.
Okay.
Do we have, Tim yet?
No.
Okay, project managers report.
All right, so in the interest of time, I think a lot of my report is going to come out in the select board review section. However, there are a couple of portions that I do want to bring up separately. For the highway department, they have been working on grading the roads. They've finally gotten a new cutting edge. So that has improved significantly. And they've been transporting the last bit of sand from this year's order. And that brings up the question as to if we want to start ordering sand for the upcoming year and start transporting it now.
We do it now. Get it over with.
Yeah, I think the only question about it was we're in May and our new budget becomes available in July. But I do think that gravel will float us for a month. Let's start moving it now when we have the.
Well, they know where we live. They
They do know
where
it's
skip
there.
out.
We can tell them to come and take it back. So,
So we aren't putting it out to bid this year,
no, we agreed to a multi-year,
okay,
I believe. I guess Linda's. Well, the other thing I'll mention is that Steve Prince has been going to training for the emergency manager. He'll be in Fairleigh completing that training. He's done just a great job of really sticking to the training schedule, and will have completed that by the end of this month, which is the due date. Other items on the highway department is that I've included in your folder quotes for a loader. And there's 3 quotes. One is from Cat, one's from Volvo, and the other one's from John Deere. The reality of the situation is that any loader that is ordered from John Deere would be available come December. From Cat, unknown. They don't know when it would possibly come. The Volvo quote is, there is one in stock. And it currently has our name on it with no obligation. But it is something that we do have there. They do offer a lease. The lease would be a 7-year lease. It would be, the first payment would be 1 year from delivery. So it would not have an effect on this year's or next year's equipment fund. It would start to be built in going forward. Right now, we spend $50,000 a year in equipment payments. That's for the grader and for the excavator. This would add another 20,000 to that, which would bring us up close to the 70,000 area, which is where we fund it every year. There will be a truck coming in November, at which point we'll be going over the 70,000. There's two factors. One is, if you look at our repair bills for the year, I believe if I read that right, it's $82,000. Is that right?
I know we're over, but I'm only showing about 7,000 over right now. Over 40, I think it was. But let me get,
Because I'm from the last P&L, yeah.
Oh, Linda, we're on a multi-year contract for sand and gravel, aren't we?
No,
We are.
no, we aren't. He asked for one and we told us last year that because we put it out to bid, that it wasn't fair to the other people, so we did not give it the multi-year, and this year we will do a multi-year.
Okay, so is it time to sit down with gravel and start to flush out that contract?
Well, it's time to put it out to bid to
Or
everyone,
bid, right?
you know, but when we advertise for bid, we need to say it's multi-year. What we've been doing is, so this goes till the end of our budget, June 30th. So the way Dylan does it is he doesn't take it all in the summer and fall. He takes a lot of it and then he gets the rest from the contract in the spring. But it's in this year's budget.
Yeah.
But we have not signed a contract for next year's budget.
So we should consider a multi-year contract
Yeah,
in the bidding.
That's what Dylan recommended or
Okay.
asked for, but it was too late before.
all right. And the last of the spring sand was done today. So that's completely done. So we will start looking at putting this out to bid for a multi-year contract. So back to the loader. My recommendation is that we take a hard look at this Volvo loader because of the supply chain issues and the fact that it is in stock right now.
Well, it's almost miraculous, isn't it?
Miraculously, it's, yeah. Dylan and the rest of the crew have researched it. Craftsbury just bought one. Morrisville just bought one, all from the same dealer. And so the service recommendations are very good on this. My fear is that if this one slips by, we're going to have another winter with a broken loader.
Sounds like we ought to go with the Volvo then.
That's my feeling.
So can, what did you come up with, Melinda, for?
so I asked for bids and.
No, in terms of the service.
Oh, it's 10, it's 11,000.
So what is your recommendation in terms of, you're telling us that, with the new truck and then we buy this, we will be over our equipment fund? So do you have a recommendation of what we're gonna do?
I was gonna, my feeling was that, there's two things. One is, the objective is to get everything under warranty, and this gets us almost, we're two trucks down from being 100% in warranty. And our repair bill should significantly drop as a result of that. So that's one aspect of where there could be a balance of funds. The other is to consider that the loader and the truck can be delayed by 1 year. So you take delivery, say in July, your first payment is July the following year. And so ultimately, what's going to need to happen is there will need to be an increase in the equipment fund. Not this year, but next year.
And we're like, what, 77 or 78
Yeah,
is in the budget.
right.
So are you thinking 10,000 more? Or
It'll, in the end, with all of the equipment, we'll be at 90,000. Approximately, this concept.
But that's without keeping a balance in it.
Right, right. But you bought all the equipment.
What about the trailer?
The trailer is, right now we have a quote on the trailer for $20,000. The guys feel that they can hold off on that. But when I say $90,000, that includes everything, including the trailer.
Hold off on it? I thought we couldn't put it on the road.
Well, they've done some repairs on it. And the excavator has been going out on it right now.
So about 15,000 is 1 cent on the tax rate. Depending upon what the grand list is, but the grand list has stayed pretty steady.
Mhm.
So if you went up 15,000, then you would be a little bit over your 90.
But I think what I heard from Kurt was that we would put less money in the maintenance budget and put it in the equipment.
Correct, yeah.
It wouldn't be this budget we're gonna just start. It's when we create our new budget the following year.
So not 25,000, but you go down to 15 and maybe switch the 10 over. And
No,
then
we haven't got that far.
okay.
Because I'd like to see a spreadsheet of all the trucks and the lease amounts and how far they go. So it's hard, it's easy to spend money, but when you don't see it, then you get into a mess.
Because
If I could just see it so I
You
could
want a visual?
understand it,
Okay, yeah.
that's all.
Okay.
It's nice to know, how many years, so, are they all 7-year leases?
No, there's.
Right, so it's hard to know when,
Yeah, okay. I can create a timeline calendar.
yeah, and so because then we'll be talking soon about another truck. And so they can't have everything. They can't.
Well, and that comes back to this, if you're looking at the trade-in and the value of these, the Volvo to the John Deere, it's like, there's quite a difference in that trade-in value and quite a difference in the price of it.
Mhm.
I just can't understand how someone's going to, it must be their markup of pretty close to $13,000 is why they're giving you another 10, but it still is coming out to more.
Sorry,
Between what?
Between the Volvo and the John Deere, the tractors, the loaders.
yeah,
Bottom line is, you're talking almost 134, and the John Deere is about 130.
But the Volvo you can get before Christmas.
Yeah, but it's like Linda says, you're gonna keep watching what you're doing.
well, we can,
I think this, it sounds good, but in reality, their price is higher, they're trying to give you more of a trade-in, but somewhere this $3,000 or $4,000 is.
yeah, so I mean, if we were to go on the low bid, you know, the board can decide to do that. We won't have a loader until
Do we have one now?
we have a broken motor now, yeah.
How much will it cost to fix the broken motor?
The cost on
The frame's bent.
the frame is about $18,000.
So we can't run it because it's,
We run it, we can run it. It's just that, you know, you're welcome to go over and take a look at it, but it's bent like this, and the pin or the frame is going to break.
right.
How old is the loader?
15 years old, I think, I believe, yeah.
I think, like Linda said, let's get a spreadsheet set up. They're saying December delivery, the John Deere.
Mhm.
Well, this might be a better one too. I'm not sure, you know.
I'm
qualified
not
to
a
say
heavy
that.
equipment person, so I can't tell you which is A or B or whatever. I just think I would have to talk to more people.
Okay, that's
So-
fine, we'll
I
put
mean,
the spreadsheet together. And I will do whatever anybody needs for me to do to make it understandable, so you can make a decision. Because I'm at a point now where the Volvo dealer has it, and if he doesn't have it in 2 weeks, he doesn't have it.
So I was asking for the spreadsheet basically for moving forward, not
Oh,
stopping this.
Okay,
Well, Mike,
Thinking that you're gonna want a truck soon, and I just need to see it. But the difference, am I got it wrong here? One is 133,900, one's 29,900.
Right.
So it's only $4,000 that we're quibbling about?
Yep.
Between getting one now and maybe never?
well, the John Deere says December.
That could be like the truck that they said.
Yeah.
That could be 2 years out.
If the difference is only between $4,000, I personally don't have a problem with it.
well, on a 7-year lease, it really does not amount.
Right.
Well, now, it's Morrisville and Craftsbury that both bought the Volvos, right? And they got them, they didn't have to wait long to get them.
No, I mean, apparently what happened is that Volvo used to not have a municipal plan, a municipal discount. And so Volvo was kind of out of the running in Vermont.
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago, they got a municipal discount out of Volvo headquarters. And now they've picked up, I don't know, 4 or 5 towns. So they haven't had that demand. So there was an inventory.
Yeah,
There was an inventory.
it seems to me like they've got a really good reputation
Mhm.
and they're available right now. And for the few $1,000s extra spread over 7 years is pretty irrelevant.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get a good product now. You're not gonna maybe get one in December, maybe.
I think that's my feeling as well. And the service reputation is good
Yes.
from our neighboring towns.
And Kurt, what is the interest rate? I know I've asked banks, but I haven't heard anything back.
Yeah, it's,
4%.
well, it's a little under 4%.
Well, 3.99, that's 4%.
Okay. And by the way, the interest rate for John Deere is 4.7. That definitely has an impact as
Well,
well.
this is rather important. I won't be here for the next meeting, I don't think. I don't know what day in June the first meeting is.
June 1st.
June first, I'll be out of it. But I don't know, this seems like a very important capital investment. My attitude is go for it. I don't
I'll
know,
make
it's
a
too early to
motion.
call for a vote on that, or
But here's what I would suggest is that we go ahead and ask for the paperwork. Ask for the lease and ask for the agreement. And in the meantime, I'll put together this spreadsheet we're talking about. And we're not committed until we sign that and return it to them.
yes, but will that secure the vehicle for us?
In the meantime.
Yeah.
Yes. Right now, it's in our name.
I
It's
know
sitting
that.
there in our name. Now, if somebody else comes along and says, you know, I'm gonna sign a deal today, they'll call me up and say, you lost.
That could happen. I don't know, it's not like I want to see any tax increase, but it sounds to me like the most sound investment we can make out of the options we have here. And like I say, I won't be at the next meeting. Oh, yes. But,
Yeah, well, I think we,
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
know, my thought is we gotta, you're kind of stated your position tonight. And we'll have a quorum here at the next meeting. And that's the one where you can look at, actually have the lease here. And we'll have the spreadsheet
yeah,
and then,
so if you can get those documents from Volvo, that kind of seal things, gives us just a little more time.
yeah,
That would be wonderful. I feel more assured about that myself.
and
And in the meantime, I'm working on maybe getting us a better interest rate.
yeah, we don't have to do the lease through Volvo. You know, if we can find a better interest rate, which Belinda brings up another very good point. And we're gonna run into this with trucks as well. Interest rates are not going down.
Now they
They're
are.
not going down. So you don't lock in an interest rate until you take delivery of the equipment. So if, you know, delivery is December, delivery is next year sometime, who knows what the interest rate's gonna
I think they're probably gonna be up significantly. Because they're trying real hard to curb inflation right now. And there's already been one increase in.
be. Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, that's,
And that's the other thing with the banks, it would be once a year, I told them on the date we drew. So we wouldn't make monthly payments.
right, it'd be yearly payments.
Yeah.
And the important thing is that these leases, with yearly payments in the arrears. So that's where you buy that one, you get that 1 year.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we would break the budget.
So are you comfortable with that, going that way and not having a motion now?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yes, yeah,
All right.
yeah, because I want everybody to be comfortable with the spreadsheet. Yeah, see.
I wanted to see it for moving forward, that's all.
I think, it's, yeah. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Okay, so I think for the rest of the report, well, I'd like to defer to the agenda as we go through.
Okay. You have nothing more to add, okay. Is Megan on?
Yep. I'm here.
So do you want to say anything, Megan?
Sure, yeah. So do you guys all have the Village Center designation renewal application in front of you?
Yes.
Yes, okay, excellent, because I can screen share if you want, but if you have it in front of you, that works too.
We have the completed application. We just have the resolution and the letters of support.
Okay, do you want me to share the application real quick or?
It's not too hard.
Yeah, let me just share it real quick here. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Mhm. I have one too many things up. All right, I'll have to close a couple of other things I think first, but yeah, so while I'm doing that real quick, so I worked with let's see, did you get it? I worked with the Planning Commission on updating the renewal application. And I'll just close these other things and share it real quick here. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. All right. So now you guys can hopefully see that on big screen. Okay, you can see it. So yeah, I worked with the Wolcott Planning Commission and we updated the Village Center designation renewal application. Basically, this is let's see if I can move this. This is a renewal of your existing designated area for your Village Center. If I scroll to the map, it shows you, we just updated the map here. So, it covers all the way down School Street, all the way down to the town garage, and then goes up School Street. So if you look at this kind of red boundary here, that's what I'm looking at, goes up School Street from town garage and heads west all the way really to, the Church of Nazarene, and the Methodist Church is also included in there, as well as, the several businesses, local businesses that you have in here, and some other civic properties. So yeah, the renewal application, I think I had forwarded it to you earlier in the month. Always happy to forward it again, but really we're just looking for, the select board's review and approval. There's a resolution at the end, which I think Linda said she printed, which, if you all approve the renewal and approve authorizing it to be submitted to the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, then you would sign that resolution at the end. But this designation, renewing it gives local business owners and nonprofits and income producing properties in this designated area access to the tax credits from the state of Vermont. So, it's important to kind of keep that designation in case opportunities arise. And, those tax credits can cover things like electrical work, for example, maybe, like code type improvements. So electrical, plumbing, front facade, for example. Those are just some examples. And I think when I sent around the application earlier in the month, I also sent around the tax credit packet. It was kind of like a one-page, explains the different tax credits available. So yeah, we've updated the application with the Wolcott Planning Commission, and they looked at it and approved it. The letter included, in the beginning, we have the cover letter really just tries to highlight some of the different projects and efforts going on in Wolcott, as well as there's a revitalization list. Let's see. There we go. Sorry, I don't mean to make you dizzy. There's a revitalization list where we talk about some different projects that are happening in relationship to the designated village center, like, you know, the schoolhouse, Wolcott School. Of course, the School Street Bridge replacement and you know, and then the Wolcott wastewater study as well, for example. So yeah, just, you know, we're running it by you all. And if you did have any feedback or comments you want us to incorporate, we're happy to do that. And kind of looking for authorization to submit it to ACCD.
So are there any changes from our original application other than updating the projects that have taken place in the designated village center? Are there any other-
Yeah. So the overall changes since your, you know, 2014 application are, yeah, just basically the map updates, the, you know, cover letter and notification letters, and you know, the updated revitalization project list. So it's basically like just updating the information and including, you know, the required elements like language in your town plan, for example, pulling it from your newer town plan. The only other thing I added since I emailed it to all of you in early May is they just asked on the checklist to include not just the language in your town plan, but, sorry, I'll scroll down, but also the former approved designated area, which you have this map in your town plan as well. That's the only thing I added since the email earlier in May.
Does the board have any questions for Megan?
Sorry, you can probably hear my cats fighting in the background. Sorry about that.
So part of the application process is that the select board sign a resolution authorizing the application for the village center to the state of Vermont.
Yes.
No questions? Maybe we can get a motion to approve signing this resolution.
I've never seen it, so I can't,
Haven't seen the resolution.
no.
Well, we just got it in the mail. It doesn't say anything other than we're giving them permission that we are signing it to apply.
No, I mean, I've never seen this document that she's showing, so I can't really.
You said,
We have village designation, and this is just renewing it
Right, but I've never seen it.
well, it's just to update it that if people do bring businesses here, they can apply for tax credits. Megan, I had a question about Wolcott store. Could they apply for this,
Yeah.
even though they're pre-existing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're in the, any business in the designated village center can apply for tax credits.
Yeah,
Okay.
code credits from the state.
And it goes down School Street towards our buildings, and we have the schoolhouse here. If we got,
Our planning,
how does it work with,
that's the regional plan.
getting money
Yeah, but I
from
mean, I didn't know
businesses and they
that.
taking the tax credits to help us repair that building?
It's Jim
Is
Roberts.
that possible?
There's 5 people, Bruce Wheeler's on it. We've had it since
I'm sorry, there's a couple conversations at once. Belinda, could you repeat your question?
So in the designated area is our old schoolhouse, which is
Yes.
our historical schoolhouse. If we got a business to invest in us restoring that, could they get a tax credit off that?
Yes, yeah, I believe that the local business itself would be the eligible applicant.
Okay.
You know,
I just wanted.
not the municipality, but a local business is eligible, or a nonprofit is also eligible.
seeing as we don't pay taxes, we don't need a credit, but someone
Right.
else would have to, because you can get historic tax credits, 10% or 25%, and code improvement tax credits available up to 50,000 to put in sprinklers, elevators, lifts. So what it basically is doing is we are, by having a designated village center, we are opening the doors for any kind of businesses or nonprofits to take an opportunity for these credits if they wish to. It's not something the town can do. It's our business community who can take advantage of this.
But it could also maybe
Right.
benefit us. In the schools.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we sign this resolution.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Megan, do you want to quickly talk about this letter that I typed up in support of this grant on the Fish and Wildlife property?
Yes. Yep. And do you guys have that in front of you, or I can
Yes,
just
and
give no?
I emailed it to everyone too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just provide an overview. And Linda was on, she was participating in a lot of these site visits, but we have worked with Vermont Fish and Wildlife, where they have the property over on Elmore Pond Road, the access area. And so a preliminary design for kind of flood resiliency and restoration work was done there. And one component of that the LCPC is working with Fish and Wildlife to apply for funding for final design and then implementation is the berm removal. And so there's a berm essentially, if you're heading from the parking lot at the access area and say you're heading, 50 feet west, there's a berm that kind of extends along the river there. And it's about, in some places it's as high as like 3 feet along the edge of the field. And it extends really almost all the way up to like that first major bend in the river. And so what it's currently doing is kind of blocking floodplain access when you get, a notable flood. And so one portion of the restoration effort was to propose removing that berm on the Fish and Wildlife property. And so the block grant letter of support that you have in front of you is for LCPC to apply for funding to kind of like take the design to the next phase for the berm. There are other efforts going on in that property, like a buffer, stream buffer proposed, as I mentioned in the letter, which the Conservation District will be working on, and they are working to secure separate grant funding for that through the Trees for Streams program. But this is the berm removal piece basically of the project, and we're just looking for general support. The grant, if we get it, the grant applicant would actually be the RPC in this case. So in this case, we would deal with all the grant management paperwork. If we were to get funded and continue to coordinate with Fish and Wildlife, State Fish and Wildlife, and keep the town of Wolcott, of course, in the loop as we continue to move forward with, the design process. So it's a general letter of support, basically, for the application that we're working on, which is with the Watershed United in Vermont.
Right. So this is just basically a letter of support, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
just need the board's approval
Oh.
to support, that's all.
Oh, okay. I'll make a motion to continue with this letter of support.
I'll second that motion.
Any other questions or discussions on that? Basically, for us, it will help, right now, the flooding is, going by the, bridge there. There's a lot of scouring and so forth, so we're hoping that, it will alleviate the erosion on that bridge there over the Elmore Pond Road. It always floods there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Megan. Hope you
You're
feel
welcome.
better.
Yeah, thanks. Hope so. Hey, thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.
So we have the appointment of the fire warden and assistant. Who wants to continue doing that?
Right.
And is Jim his assistant?
Correct.
So do we have a motion to reappoint Vernon as our fire warden?
I'll make that
And,
motion.
okay, and Jim Holton as his assistant?
I'll make the motion to reappoint Bernie Earl as fire ward and Jim Holt as his assistant.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Linda, how many years is it for?
They're usually three, July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 27. Looks like it's 5 years.
5 years.
Town garage quotes.
All right, so this is an extension of my report. We had, as you all know, the boiler caught on fire at the garage. We have applied for an insurance claim. To be honest, in my discussions with the insurance carrier, it's unlikely that we will get any kind of claim satisfaction on it, simply because of the age of the boiler. That has not been officially determined. That's kind of my interpretation based on conversation. But we'll continue to try. They are in the investigative stage right now. So that's where that stands with the insurance. Having said that, we also had talked about putting in the overhead heater as an alternative. So this is a heater that is propane based, sits overhead, and we had agreed to move forward with that. Then some different viewpoints came forward about the heating system there. And so I contacted Bournes and said, wait, even though we had signed this agreement to move forward with the overhead heater, we want to hold off. And they were in complete agreement with that. And what's happened at this point, we also had a very, very good offer for propane at $1.95 a gallon, which is extraordinary for 2 years. So the argument against the overhead heater is that when the guys are working on the floor underneath their trucks, it's going to be cold. The radiant heater actually heats the floor itself. Second argument is that noise level will be high. And the third, and probably the most practical in my mind of the argument, is that the boiler room is where the water comes into the building, and the boiler room is separate. It's separated by walls from the rest of the garage, so there's a risk of freezing, water freezing in there. So we're back to Bourne, and the quote for the overhead was approximately, it was $8,223 to replace the boiler is $16,000. So that's what I just wanted to put before the board. There's an argument for the propane boiler. It'll be a propane boiler. And then there's an argument for the overhead.
They're gonna be freezing their, excuse me, they'll be uncomfortable on a cold night or day when they're working on equipment, the overhead heater. They're underneath the equipment.
That's, yes, that's one of the arguments, yes.
That sells it for me to replace the existing boiler instead of going with the overhead.
But didn't you say the floor heating causes more corrosion? on
It
the
does, it does. That's another negative there.
So,
I mean, there's, yeah, I mean, there's,
I worked at the fire department on different vehicles with the
overhead.
whatever overhead heating. Yeah, you gotta wear a coat.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The in-floor heating was dramatically accelerated.
Oh, yeah, it was like a salt.
Shit. Well, I guess it should go with the overhead then.
The hot water sounds like the hot water is like hot water heater. And the overhead would probably work just fine.
And it wouldn't hurt to put in a, what do you want to call it, heat duct going through the wall.
Yeah, you'd have to cut out the wall, put in some duct work. So the reality is that this $8,000 quote is probably $10,000 quote. Because you gotta do electrical, you gotta rent a lift, and we would have to do some duct work. Either way, we would still take advantage of the very good propane deal. And we would eliminate the oil tank. So that's really what I want to put before the board.
But if they really feel it's uncomfortable, they could still put a space heater under the rig that they're working on. You know, kerosene space heater, it wouldn't have to be that big of a unit. And they're fairly reasonable price.
We want to cause a fire. Yeah. Space heaters make me nervous, personally. But I mean, either way, I think from Dylan's standpoint, and the guy said that they just want heat. And that's exactly the way they responded, is we want heat. I think that, I believe it was Lucian was one that felt that it was going to be inadequate and it was going to be cold.
With the overhead?
I've seen it when it was 30 below at the fire department with those two heaters going. 10-15 minutes, it was up to 65.
But is this 2 heaters or 1?
It's one.
Should be 2, should be just 1.
I mean, the Barnes argues that the BTUs coming out of one exceed the BTU that was coming out of the radiant system. But if you want 2, you can get 2. But now at that point, you're now it's
The other one.
it's. But here's the thing, I don't think the insurance, and I don't want to be negative about insurance. It's just when they want to do a lot of research, they want all of our maintenance records for the past 5 years. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that kind of leads, and they're talking about how old it is, and the average lifespan of a commercial boiler is 15 years, and this one's 25 years, and that's where I think it's gonna fall out.
Sweetenburg put it in. They're not even in business.
Have we talked to any other highway departments that have radiant heat? Do we know of any?
I personally don't, but I can do that research.
I was just curious. I
We have a
mean,
little bit of time on this because it's summer. And, but so if we want to do some more research on what others are doing, I can do that as
well, I'm just curious, are we the only one that has radiant heat in our town garage? That's what I was just,
well. Yeah, well, I have to make phone calls to find out, but
Doesn't the new Johnson fire department have they have radiant heat? No? Oh, I thought when they built that building, they got it.
Theirs is all hot air.
Well, it is a good point, Kurt, about the accelerated rust from the 480 on the
Right.
vehicles, but
well, Skip complained about that a lot. The moisture, you know.
It just, and the other thing is, if it's a 25-year-old system in the floor, how many leaks does it have?
Probably not gonna, that replacing the entire floor is quite a loss at that point.
all right, so I'll do some more research. I'll find out what others are doing. I'll again contact Lawrence about the single versus two. But they were pretty adamant that it wasn't required.
whatever, I just want to make sure they have adequate heat.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Oh, God, I mean, yeah.
we all do. But this is gonna have to come out of it's gonna come straight out of the budget. There's
Or the building maintenance.
building maintenance, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be, once it's in, it's gonna be a 10 to 15 year plus investment anyways, so it's worth it.
So if we don't buy it by the end of June, we should, and we have a balance, we should make sure that we assign that balance to the new budget. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
gets absorbed.
Yeah.
And we need that money.
Yeah. I'm part of that.
Yep, I just gave Kurt the latest budget versus that.
Kurt, let propane price expire?
No, we've already signed that agreement. Yeah. And that's why, I mean, their other offer was to replace the boiler with another oil boiler for 18,000. So no, thank you.
And we do have propane at the transfer station and the library and the generator.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think if you're gonna go through it, I just feel that the floor radiant heat's just gonna be, it's 25 years old, and I hate to say it, it's probably never been insulated. Even if you go with 2 heaters, the propane heaters in the ceiling, it's a little bit more, but like Alan said, it's an investment over 15 years, and if you only have a turnaround on a 30 below day,
Yeah.
15 minutes, and it's comfortable, I'd go with it.
We got a building, we have a building at work that is all done with a unit like that, heats the building right up.
Is it loud?
No, it's pretty quiet, turns on, as does all the venting, nice and quiet, heats the room right up.
I
Okay.
mean, they have them where I work, but the machines overrun the noise of the heaters a whole lot.
Okay. But I just,
I think we're leaning towards it.
towards the overhead.
Yeah. As long as we can figure out something for that boiler room, that's all.
Oh, they do that with ductwork, you know.
Ducting would be Say if that's just some ductless vents, they should be able to each go through there.
And so then the only negative left is cold floor. And as you mentioned, you can get those rollers. You gotta go underneath something, roll underneath it.
They're called,
Rollers.
creepers. Yeah, creepers.
Creepers, that's what they call them.
Creepers, right? Yeah. Okay.
Hybrid meeting system status.
Yeah, I want to turn this one over to Dolan because, you know, there's been movement. We got the cabinet here. Dolan started to mount the dish on the roof. And there's some decisions we need to make about sound and microphones at this point, and the computer itself.
Right, so I think I mentioned to you guys that I've been working with the town of Elmore, doing a hybrid meeting room. And they made the decision that they wanted something very simple, that anybody can walk into the room, touch a touch screen, meeting starts, that's that. So they invested quite a bit. I think their project is going to be right around 10,000. But they are also doing the meeting room and then some equipment in their town hall across the street. So it's between the two. Their main piece, I have up here, I'm going to see if I can screen share it. And I'll do this and try, I do this for my Chromebook too. So this is. Right here, so there's two different devices from Logitech, and they're very similar competing ones. This one is,
You can't see it.
oh, it's not up there, it's over here,
Yeah.
right? So this is, it's just Dell as the retailer, this is the one that Elmore got. It's called the Logitech Rally Bar. And the big difference between this one and this one here, this is called the Meetup, is the Meetup is designed to plug into your computer as the camera and microphones as one unit. The Rally Bar comes with a touchpad that allows it to be its own system. So nobody has to have a computer. Elmore, we're going to take that touchscreen, we're going to mount it right to the wall. Somebody just walks up and says start meeting. And that's a go. The one thing I haven't tested with the Elmore system yet is how to deal with Zoom bombers. And I think most of you have seen the potential there in these public meetings. The price difference is this Meetup comes with one microphone for about 1,100 plus a couple little accessories, probably under 1,500. The other one is around 5,000, and the different brand products are in the similar price point. However, if you buy this one, you do have to get a computer. And if you had a dedicated computer, you'd still need somebody to actually manage it, which is a little bit more effort. I think our goal in talking with Kurt was to make it possible for you guys to not need me to be here. And I think the last meeting, I wasn't able to be here because I had a conflict. And Kurt realized the difficulty in participating in the meeting as well as managing the meeting. And it's tricky. I've done it too. It's tricky. So this last one over here was just somebody did a comparison between the two systems and just kind of made a chart that kind of lays out why one would be better than the other. The Rally Bar has a more robust audio setup. It has better AI for tracking who's the speaker. And it can be a standalone device. So that was those are the big differences. So my initial reaction with the Elmore system is it's fantastic. The audio is very good. The hands-off nature of it is really nice. The only thing I don't have a good answer for is how to deal with the Zoom bomber, and I do plan to do some tests with them this week. So I think I sent Kurt Klein a link to
Can we go up to the other one?
the this one. Yeah, this is the Rally Bar. This is the one that I put in Elmore. Actually, I think I brought it here. I think you guys saw it here one time.
Mhm.
And that's the touchpad there. And it mounts right on the bottom of the TV. And this touchpad can either sit on the table, can be mounted to the wall. It does have a wire coming out of it, so it's not wireless, but it also will require a slight upgrade of your Zoom account to a product called Zoom Rooms, which is a monthly fee of, I want to say $10 about a month. So that is another slight cost if you did this versus the one where you had your own computer. So a computer monitor system to go with the lighter duty model, probably everything in probably be in the neighborhood of, again, 1,500. So probably about 5,000 for one, about 4,000 for the other one. More flexibility, but you need a little bit more technical knowledge to manage it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that our ultimate goal is what can be offered with this room, the Rally Bar.
Right.
Because that's what the discussion was from the very beginning, the ability to just walk up, push a button.
Right.
I'm sure nothing is walk up and push a button, but you can get pretty close to
It's
it.
pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, my only concern at the moment is if you're dealing with a Zoom bomber, you can go to this device and find the person and remove them from the meeting. However, how quick that is and how much of a disruption it is, you know, you're not going to beat me sitting here being a bouncer. So.
Yeah. I
So
think-
is this something that is voice? There's speakers, a mic and a microphone,
So there's built-in.
camera.
So it would sit right here under the screen. You got right here.
Yeah.
Camera would be here. I could also, if you prefer, I could put it up top. It has an array of microphones in the bar, and it also has speakers in the bar. So the sound comes out of there. The microphones, because they're in different locations, can triangulate where the sound is coming from. There are both of them. You can buy accessory microphones. There's little desk pods. You can also mount them on the ceilings. And that way,
Does it automatically start recording?
I think you can program it too.
Okay.
So I know you can set, I can set the Zoom account, but as soon as you start a meeting, it's automatically recorded. So that could also be part of it.
Will we get rid of this thing up here on the wall?
This little guy wouldn't be needed. You know, we're into that for $250.
How about screen sharing?
Screen sharing can be done still. If you guys have something in the room, Elmore also bought one of these, and I haven't figured out how to connect it to the rally bar. I think it can be, I just haven't tested it yet. Otherwise, you just need to have another computer in the room to join the meeting as well. And then you can screen share from there if you had something you wanted to share locally. Other people on the call can screen
Yeah.
share. Just the same. So I'm actually screen sharing, not
Right.
from the
But I
computer running the
would-
meeting,
Yeah,
from my Chromebook, so.
well, I know it's been extremely difficult for our numerous committees that are doing it hybrid, and it's they can't be running the meetings and the technology, and they don't have the know-all to know what to do. We have to make it as simple as possible. Because someone isn't, Kurt isn't gonna be here, or you, for every single meeting that we have. Schoolhouse, wastewater, DRB, planning commission. You know, just select board.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend this. This is being our expense.
that's correct, actually, and that's how Elmore paid for theirs, was ARPA.
Um,
You gotta keep it as low tech as possible with all the different committees that are.
Well,
Yeah.
it's high tech, but it's easy user interface.
That's what I meant.
Yep, I know what you meant.
Well, I'll make a motion that we purchase it and move forward with getting all set up.
Yeah, so the kit, these guys are listing the kit at about 4,000, and I would recommend about another 1,000 for additional microphones and cabling for those microphones. Probably wouldn't go quite that high. But this doesn't include any additional microphones, and I would probably say, because your group of microphones will be here, probably 3 additional for this size room. This is a pretty big room for this system, so the additional microphones would help. Probably either on the tables where you guys are. I would probably want to go run the wires through the ceiling, mount them on the ceilings right above, probably 2 points up front here and then 1 in the back. And then my experience with it so far is that anybody in the room can speak at a normal room volume, and it picks up really, really well. And it cancels out background noise really, really well. Better than these little guys right here.
So, I agree.
You're a second.
I'm a second.
I'll third it.
We have any other questions moving forward? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So we'll move on.
So one more comment on, Dolan's been fantastic in helping us all the way along here. He is now up on the ladder, way up over here, and then we're gonna be putting microphones up here. He's gonna be crawling around there. I'm just wondering about liability and insurance.
Good question. I don't carry any contractor. This is all just work I'm doing volunteers.
So you can sign a waiver,
Okay,
but we would have to give you a stipend,
we'd have to what?
give him a stipend.
Stipend, okay.
That's perfectly reasonable.
I'll have the paperwork for you next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, it's, he was hanging up, you know.
I will.
I was thinking of a movie scene when I saw him, where the ladder goes over and he's hanging.
Actually, the post that I mounted up there, I could probably, it would support my weight. So I could hang like
Yeah.
until somebody came and rescue me.
Until the fire department comes with a trampoline, right?
I'll call the fire department. Look at that, the little
Okay,
air.
All right, I'll work with Kurt to get that purchase.
great.
So I could retail
Well, thank you very much for all you've done for us.
You're,
it. Yeah, I'm excited to, I'm guessing Monica might even comment how it's nice to have this. I feel like every one of these committees now, hybrid is kind of the standard now.
yeah.
If nothing else, let's move on to our special town meeting, June 7th. Basically, it's just a reminder that we're having it at the elementary school, 6 o'clock at night. Did Joe say he'd moderate?
He said he would be there.
All right,
Linda Reed did contact me about it and wondered if instead of having paper ballots, if we could do division of house. Is that something we ask the moderator?
no, the voters get to decide.
Okay,
I'm not controlling how the voters want to vote.
okay,
You know, if someone makes that motion and it happens, but I mean, it's up to the voters to, I don't want to control their decisions.
Right.
she's just very concerned about COVID. Because it's been really active.
It has, and she can wear a mask and whatever, I don't know, I mean, we've had this petition forever, and
Oh, no, she's
I
not
feel
saying-
really badly that I'm not gonna push it off again.
No, she just wondered if somebody made the motion to do division of the house and 7 people agreed with it, if that would be.
That's up to the moderator,
Okay.
not up to us.
Oh,
Any thoughts on a mask requirement for that meeting?
I would think so. I mean, I will contact the school and find out. You know, it's really, I think everybody's left it up to individuals now. I don't think there's
Be worried,
anything out there for requirements.
you think that anybody would be worried enough to exclude themselves from participating if they're not comfortable with people are unmasked?
You still have your distance, 6-foot distance. Unless you're in a group or a household, then you can be together, so.
People really were pretty good, except for a group of people staying 3 feet apart on the bleachers, and the chairs were all. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
Do it, see what happens.
I don't expect a lot of people to go.
What was the last meeting up there? I thought that was town forest.
There was a lot of interest in the forest.
there were.
Yeah, there was a 147.
Okay, so the select board gets the petition, we say we're gonna have the meeting. Now, is Karen gonna come and talk about the petition?
Yes.
Okay. So we are neutral, you know, one way or the other, but I guess I just wanna make sure someone will be there to talk about it. Okay. I don't expect it to be too long.
I am planning to bring my recording system,
And
and then that way we can post it to YouTube at some point later.
in the meantime, I will reach out to Matt again at the school, ask him if there's any special requirements at the school. We'll ask people to, you know, unless they're in a family together, to sit apart. And we'll have the chairs apart. Everything else set for you, Belinda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the paper 2 more times. I just want to keep it, and I put it on the front porch forum and I'll do it again. It's on the website.
Fund balance to capital reserve fund. I asked Belinda to bring this up because in a further discussion this year, I knew that we had funds that were leftover funds from the end of the year budget. And I knew that we had designated 25,000 to go into the budget. So we have $62,000. I just wanted to bring it back to the board's attention that we have this money. And before the end of the year, it could just get absorbed into the budget. Do you want to designate this money for anything in particular? Like, do you want to put some money into the capital fund, some of this money? We can assign it to,
Whatever you'd like.
Could we put some of it toward the heat for the highway garage? That's gonna be a lot of money.
That's a good thought.
Then it wouldn't eat up all your capital, your town building funds in case there's a need in the future. I'm not
Right.
sure.
but I just wanted you to know, we have that money. Doesn't mean we have to spend it all on or designate it to something, but this is our opportunity before the end of the year to assign that money to someplace where we think we might need it.
We just talked about the equipment fund,
Mhm.
maybe assigning some there.
Now, in your capital account, this last page I gave you is what you have in there right now. You have 301.
Yeah.
And just, we will have to come up with a little bit for the FEMA for the Brook Bridge.
So starting in August, for the School Street Bridge, even though it's not going to be built to 2025, we need to start making payments as they complete different portions of it. And so I emailed them and asked them, well, when is that and how much is that? He said somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 we will be billed either in August or September. And that will be for our 5% portion of, the designing, the beginning preliminary designing and stuff that's done. So just to keep in mind that we are not just gonna pay a big lump sum at one point. We're going to be paying money over time.
And that will come out of your capital account.
I'm hoping so. It can't come out of anything else. Do you want to think about this 62,000 and next meeting, come up with some figures? Are you ready now to say you want to put money into the building fund or an amount into the,
This has to be done before the end of the fiscal year,
June.
or the end of June, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to have one more shot at it.
okay. So we'll put it back on the agenda, but it'll give you an opportunity to think of areas where we might need a little boost. All right, plan to clean up the schoolhouse. We are having someone from the Vermont Historic Preservation come on Saturday at 9 o'clock to upgrade the assessment on the schoolhouse. And it reminded me that it's full of a lot of construction and debris from this old building. And we need a plan to get rid of it. Somehow, I don't know if it's worth anything. I wondered if Alan and Kurt, if you two could take a look at it and come up with a plan, you know, do you wanna, should it all be taken to the dump? Do you wanna take it and put it on the lawn, and when people come for our August thing, say, you know,
Onward.
do you need anything? Do you wanna give us a few
Put a
dollars?
price on it, there's.
Yeah, right.
That's a sculpture.
Gotta put a price. The guarantee.
Do like what old guy did, he had a whole pile of old tires, he didn't want to set them side the road, put a price on them, he said the next day they're gone.
Good thing.
Well, that's one way of getting rid of tires.
Well, anyway, can you come up with a plan or somehow or take a look at it and just see whether we should just have it dumped? If there's anything worth anything, you know, if there's some good stuff that could go on metals, you know, we can make a pile for that and let the boys
Transfer
just
station,
dump.
I was taking up there.
Right, but can you just look at it and see if anybody might want something or something?
The historical society might want to put tags on what's there, so they don't.
Well, I'm talking about just in that big school
It's in-
classroom.
Over here, there's historical society section there
Yeah,
now, it's out in
yeah.
that main hall.
Right,
Nancy Grant asked me a question the other day that above the windows, is there a mirror, something up there that her mother put up at one time?
No, that's.
She wanted to go look, but I was afraid of the
No,
floor,
no, no.
so,
no,
okay.
No,
I have
there's
photos.
nothing.
But there's nothing there. I mean, I haven't even looked because I don't want to go through the door, so,
The old sleep boards are gone.
okay.
so maybe some Saturday morning, we could go in there, get the key early and go in and see what's in there. See how we can get it out, you know, what we need, some kind of plan. All right, thank you. Transfer station, East Hill.
Okay, so transfer station, as you may know, we've had 5 break-ins to the transfer station.
You was, Sylvia was mentioning to me a couple of weeks ago, they weren't taking anything, just cut the chains.
Well, there's more to the story.
Yeah.
So they cut the chain twice, then we fixed that, at which point they cut the padlock itself. And then the latest was to take the gate off its hinges. And what had happened, because it didn't appear like anything was happening.
Yeah.
Other than they were breaking in, but nothing was done. What they were doing was stealing bottles and cans out of the cancer societies. And they stole about $600 worth of bottles and cans.
Well, that's a felony, definitely felony grade, isn't it?
It's a serious
Yeah.
problem. So Mark, who, who runs the shed up there, built the shed.
Yeah.
Is more than a little upset. So what we're doing is because they broke the gate, Bill Allen is gonna weld it to where it can't lift off
Yeah.
anymore. And then we're putting on a high security lock that is theoretically bulletproof. And then the next step is, if the board approves, is to put a camera up there.
I think we should make sure they can't see it, because they'll still let.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But we
They
want
love
to,
us.
but, this has been reported to the sheriff. Really, all the sheriff can do is say, if you get a camera, then we can do,
I think we should get a camera and nail them and prosecute the hell out of them.
So a camera to do this job needs to be infrared so it doesn't flash,
Yeah,
is about $300.
How
We have
much?
62.
You're looking at a trail cam?
Huh?
Trail cam?
It's kind of a trail cam, yeah, but it actually it's solar, so it has its own power source.
How much is that?
300.
It's worth every penny of it. Especially if you get to see them in court too.
Yeah, the only thing is that the town would be buying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
There's only,
Who else would buy?
Well, the transfer station is very.
Now, I was suggesting if we need a place to buy, we'd have that 62,000.
Oh, okay.
the other
I
problem
can't
is,
afford any more bills for the.
if you
transfer
put a
station.
camera up there, you're gonna have to post, there is a camera. Why? Why? Because if you don't tell them you're filming them, you can't take it to court.
That's,
I've already ordered a sign, but it can go on the building. I'm
It
told.
should be at the entrance.
Well, I was told it could go on the building as long as it said surveillance on
So you've already
property
ordered the sign for this? Okay.
from WB Mason.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought it's like, it's very cheap. Either we get a camera or we get a sign saying they're on camera and it might deter people. I don't know. And I figured this was cheaper.
I think if, you know, it's
The
fine.
sign works because I had it in the machine shop. And you know how many things were missing after that? 0.
Yeah. So,
You had a lot of pilferage.
so I don't know if we need a motion for buying the camera or if it's,
I would try the sign first. I gotta have the sign anyways.
right, so wait.
See what happens with the sign. If it keeps on for another 2 months, then
These people are so reason, I think we ought to go with the camera.
I go camera. It also would tell you if you ever have any problems with bears, it would pick with bears and all the other things.
It's like we could use a junkyard dog too, but that's probably the insurance company wouldn't.
Well, the
appreciate
bears have
that.
already come back.
Yeah, we gotta get Bernard up there to put the. fence.
Silvio put on his paper, bears. It's like, okay.
all he needs is a jar of honey. Come on.
I know.
So do we need a,
so we have a motion and a second.
oh, we did, okay,
Yeah, okay.
all right.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good, thank you. So I'm gonna go up Saturday with Mark. Mark is putting on a overhead door on that thing with a lock. But I'd love, even if they have struggled to break in, I'd love to get a view of them, whoever they are.
Well, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm not as civilized as some of you. We got those dumpsters to take care of the perpetrators.
All right, so the last thing is East Hill Road. So yesterday, this is edited. We went up to visit Ed. Deputies came along and also Rob from 3 deputies came along. And Rob from All Metals came up to do an estimate on demolition. So we talked to Ed. We gave him 2 weeks to gather his personal belongings and off the property. The sheriff did go up in advance of the rest of our going up just to see if he was there. When he came back, he requested 2 backups. So the lieutenant came down. And so it was, you know. And so All Metals got back to me today and they can clean out everything, cleaned and out, shipped away for, the quote is not to exceed $5,500.
Wipe that clean like it was never there.
Yeah,
Even the building or just the,
everything,
everything?
the building, the bus, the cars.
I'm sorry, but that's,
The junk.
You're what?
I think that's a deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
No evidence that he was ever there. I'm surprised they haven't busted him for trespassing. He's been written off the property since what, last year?
Well, yeah, he left and then came back. And that's what we did. I mean, that was the reason for the visit yesterday, was to remind him he's leaving. But we also understand that he'll just come back if the house is still there. He'll just come back. Somewhere down the line. So it really needs to be cleaned out. It's a wetland. And we need to clean it out for sale. And there's one other fee that may be associated with this, and that is the state does not allow demolition without an asbestos inspection. So that may be $150 on top of this.
Brothers
Get it done.
did the one over here, and we had that done.
Yeah.
That was about the same price.
And the value of the property, I think, is
43,000.
43,000. I mean, that's what it's assessed at.
I know.
It is 9 acres. That's 9 acres of land.
Yeah, it is.
43,000 is what the assessed value is. And I think we can make our money back by selling it. The other issue of selling it, we're speaking of this special town meeting coming up, is that in order for the town, by law, in order for the town to put a property for sale, it has to be put before the public. So voters need to agree, and it has to be done at a town meeting or a special town meeting. So I'd like to propose that we put that on the agenda at our upcoming meeting in June.
Well, we can discuss it, but we can't vote on
Because we already set the warning.
Oh, the warning's out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because you need the 45 days.
it. Well, you need to warn it for 30.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not on the warning. I don't see why we have to wait. We can wait till March. I mean, is there someone wanting it?
I don't know. I mean, we thought some of the abutters might be interested in it.
Yeah,
It's a nice, it's wetland. One of the abutters is Northern,
Studies,
huh?
Northern Studies.
Yeah, Northern Studies,
well,
right?
it's Sterling.
Sterling College.
Yeah, and it's for that kind of a environment, this land just kind of fits that perfectly.
Jim Ryan and the Reeves were also interested.
I doubt very much Sterling College would be interested. I think they're struggling.
Financially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to find ways of not paying taxes on that bare swamp land. When they took it over, they have a different curriculum versus what Northern Studies did, and farming doesn't meet with wetlands
Okay.
in there.
Yeah.
But I know the Reeves and Jim Ryan were interested.
Okay.
Northern Studies was
Jim
hard
called
to
me.
get sunlight, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I remember when Steve ran it, Steve and
that was my first job there. There.
So the thing to know is that May 30th is deadline
For what?
for Ed to be
Oh,
out. And then All Metals will schedule demolition. It's gonna take them 1 day, they said. And they'll do that in first week of June.
Did they say they might need protection or?
I think what we'll do is the first time we go up, before they get their excavator on the road and everything, we'll go up with the sheriff and then just go from there.
did you have something to say? Alan?
Since we're thinking if we do end up, if you do want to put that on March to do that, could before March, maybe we go, or you could take a look and ask people maybe what they would like to, if they're able, that are interested in maybe proposals
Yeah, you can do
before
that.
that, so we could,
Yes,
Right.
you can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, part of the law is that if there are people interested in, you can actually take it all the way to contract without, but then you gotta get the vote.
Yeah.
So, but yes, you can. So that's the update on that.
anything else? Did we forget anything?
Dinner.
Mm.
I forgot my dinner.
There's kitty treats out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Shall I make a motion?
Mhm.
I do so.
Second, 8:02, adjourning.
All those in favor?
Hi. Hope your operation goes well,
I
Richard.
gotta say, I hope so too, right?
Are you looking forward to it?
No,
Are
I'm
you-
not.
Oh, okay,
No
I didn't know
answer.
if you were